Now, I request Dr. Ann Madam to talk about the next one, that is how to choose the best medicine for every SMA individual and the ethics of it.
Thank you, everybody. I know it's getting very much closer to lunchtime. We'll try and wrap it up as soon as possible. So, all of you have heard of the various aspects of drugs. Various options are there. But which drug for whom? What age? Does combination therapies work? These are questions that are pestering the minds of every parent as well as doctors involved in the field. When is the right time to start medication? What about the ethics of resource availability and curative versus palliative care? And what is the way forward? So, as we saw before, there are two treatment strategies. And of the treatment strategies, one is gene replacement, which has already been spoken to. There are many of you in the audience whose children have received the gene replacement medicine. The other one is making SMN2 more efficient. So, gene replacement is Zolgensma. Making SMN2 more efficient is nusinersen and risdiplam. There's no doubt that all of them work. Some more than others. Again, it depends on when you're choosing them. But a lot of it depends on MDT. There are multiple centers where, I don't know how many of you have heard, so we'll come to that a little bit later, why we are going on talking about MDT and SOC is mainly because we truly believe in it. We don't lose patients when we do this. Patients survive and they have better outcomes. They have better quality of life. So, the entire point of everything that we do is this child. Why we do the crazy things we do. So, two children, I think both the parents are here. Both were type 1 SMAs. And it is very heartbreaking watching those children get weaker day by day. And some of those parents are not here who have lost their babies, whose children have died with the disease. But we also, as doctors, we also feel helpless that nothing's happening. One of the children was lucky enough because there was a program at that time where risdiplam was available on compassionate access. So when this baby was 5 months of age, received risdiplam. So even though it was a type 1 baby stabilized. And then the family fought with the government, with everybody possible, and then ultimately got gene therapy. Then this is the oldest child. Gene therapy does not work very well after 2 years of age. So at 2 years, 4 months, this baby, being the oldest patient of ours, got gene therapy. But he improved with risdiplam, but he improved much more with after getting the gene therapy. But he was in very good condition. So this is a spirit of the child with gene therapy. This child was unable to sit. Just 2 weeks after gene therapy, he was able to sit. So we keep doing this, all these exercises that we do because of this hope of doing this. But it doesn't always work like this. And the second child of a similar age, that baby too had SMA type 1, but that baby did not have access to medication. And so what happened was, that baby was able to they were lost to follow-up mainly because doctors are not giving any hope. So it's not family's fault or anything. They come to us late and they said, okay, let's do something. But by the time the baby had deteriorated so much, had needed a tracheostomy, a gastrostomy, fundoplication and everything, and she's barely able to move her fingers. So even though she was younger, so she started, there's a almost 8 month gap between what the first child received risdiplam to stabilize the disease versus the second child. And both of them ended up getting gene therapy on the same day. And there's a lot of difference between them. Whereas the second child, even though he's older, so by law, by rules, his gene therapy, Zolgensma, should work less. But his worked better. Whereas the first child, the parents are a very brave family, and the child herself is immensely brave. She's an inspiration. But still, she's only able to do that much less. So this is because of lack of resources. And if we had started it earlier, it would have been better. But we didn't have resources to give her the medicine earlier. So this is for us to understand what happens with SMA. We all heard anterior horn cells, that the anterior horn cells, the motor neuron speaks to the muscle. If they don't speak very well, the muscle shrinks. Even before symptoms start, that's called the pre-symptomatic time. This is the time to act. So then, you have this connection and this is reversible. But once disease onset starts, already synapses are shrinking away, motor neurons are wasting away, they're dying, you have fatigue and weakness. So this black point, this arrow, these are areas where it becomes non-reversible. Here, later on in the disease, the nerves are dying. They're having what we call chromatolysis. And then what happens is irreversible. So now at this irreversible point, none of the medicines we have, risdiplam, gene therapy, or Spinraza, none of it work. But there are these arrows, these black arrows point to all the target spots where a lot of clinical research is being targeted to the irreversible one. So as you imagine, if you give it early, regenerative capacity, the body's ability to regenerate, make it normal is there. But as you go, it is becoming narrower and narrower. It's becoming small. Irreversibility, meaning what you can't change, is becoming more and more, as you can see here, more and more as their disease is progressing more and more. This is unfortunately what we are seeing in the adult population, which is what Dr. Sumant was talking about. At the end stage, there's not that much. But don't lose hope, because there's still hope. All these black areas, which are irreversible, is where research is targeted at. So how to allocate resources? We still live in India, where according to 2015 statistics, so in India, by extrapolation, we have 3 lakh children, roughly, who have spinal muscular atrophy. 3 lakh children in our country die of diarrhea a year, according to 2015. So how do we allocate resources? And these are from poorer states, who are not educated, who don't understand hand hygiene and stuff like that. What about rare disease policy? We don't even have our national rare disease policy. Mr. Prasanna will speak more about it. We don't even have a definition of what constitutes rare disease. And this is because to be able to, America as a country, or China as a country, or Indonesia as a country, every country has its definition of rare disease. Is it 1 in 1,500? Is it 1 in 10,000? 1 in 2,500? They make that term based on what resource is available in that country to dedicate to somebody labeled with rare disease. Our country, we are still skirting around the problem. This is not anybody's problem, anybody's fault as such. This is all of our problems. As a society, we are facing this together. This is because we have not been able to allocate and say, okay, we'll do this or this or this. So first step, these are all, we have to break it down to steps. First step is we need all of us together, the government to come across and say, we need a definition, a label to say what is rare disease for India. So, okay, that number is wrong. We have over 500 patients, SMA patients. So that's an old slide, sorry. We have 25 people who've received Zolgensma as of last month, 26 roughly, now currently 23 who are, some of them got gene therapy, who are on Spinraza, and around 20 who got risdiplam. But most importantly, nearly 150 or more. We've crossed this number. Is 250 or 150, Dr. Island? BiPAP. 200 odd. Yeah, sorry, that number is wrong as well. So that's nearly 200 people who are on, so 200 odd people who are on BiPAP. As we said, 80% of them have been getting it without paying upfront cash. They have been fundraised. So these are important numbers, but this also means there's a lot of burden on us healthcare professionals, on the families. There is a lot of chronic disease. We're not making them better. So curative versus palliative care, what does this mean? We believe life is precious as long as it is there, but even death should not be something that we run away from. That shouldn't be so scary, that we should, it's all part of life. But what we do with the disease progression, when we give it, it all, as we said, it's about resource allocation, what resources are available. It also depends on the team involved. So there are multiple MDT teams all over the country, but they need to have that many specialists and that much expertise to deal with it. The family involved, it's a lot of emotional stamina, or it takes a toll on families when they do it. When you're doing this day in and day out, years in together, so it depends on their mental stamina. And significant disease burden, even after giving a very wonderful revolutionary medicine, your child is not normal. It's much better, and it is you're happy to see the child walking, but he or she is not going to be normal. He or she will still have scoliosis risk when they grow up. He or she will still have complications, may still have pneumonia. So there is a significant disease burden. How do we not burn out? This we need to hold hands. I believe this is the only way of doing it. So is it worth it? We all believe it's worth it. That's why we're sitting here on a Sunday day. But most of us are here because we think it is, but it is a battle. So mental stamina is a big factor. So we need to factor in the parents sitting there, the patient sitting there, Us doctors sitting in, all of us need to factor in burnout factor. You get tired. So we need to be able to encourage each other. So the old concept, curative versus palliative. We all know if somebody had cancer or a terminal illness, you cure, and then say, okay, no hope, marne do. But if you're about to die, at least make them die, allow them to die in a very peaceful, serene way without pain. Now the current concept is not that. The current concept is, while you're doing cure, you're giving all the disease-modifying, life-changing things. This is taken from British Medical Journal. You're also giving supportive palliative care together along with that. It's going side by side. And that at whatever time death happens, we face it and we grieve together. Because like you, we also have a long relationship with our families. So we also grieve with that. So what is the way forward? The way forward is early detection. That is newborn screening. This is a complex disease, as we said. So, for example, risdiplam works only a lot more on swallowing. It has systemic effects, which the Spinraza and the gene therapy works mostly on the CNS. So it doesn't work so much outside. There's not that much medication that is crossing over from the blood-brain barrier. So newer drugs are aiming at whatever holes or whatever is left over, the lacunae that's left over by the existing treatment, however wonderful they are. So having databases, national data, these are important things. Newborn screening, this is an interesting thing and we really need to watch this space. The fact that we have so many families, we have examples here itself of adults who are 42 years who got diagnosis just one few months ago, or a 25-year-old who just got a few months ago, well-educated, well-to-do family, not getting diagnosis. So then you can imagine how many people are there in the villages. Even that other family that we had, a 42-year-old, there were two siblings, and the older sibling just got a diagnosis, but the younger sibling died by the time, without a diagnosis. And that death could have been prevented. And remember, this is a walking person. So do not underestimate sleep hyperventilation. So newborn screening would have picked up many of these things. So this is looking at USA, the various states of USA, 50 states. In 2019, so many of the states which are in dark blue said they will screen. This is in 2021. So many states. Now they've even made a map of more number of states. So 38 states now do, 34 were doing before. And they've even started marking out to say who is the non-compliant state. So hopefully we are moving towards more and more being screened. So this is a child who was diagnosed at 1.5 months. She's absolutely doing very well. This is a pre-symptomatic child who has normal milestones. So she's a type 1 SMA. So in India, with our large geographic and cultural diversity, this is from ORDI's 2021 slide of campaigning for rare diseases, campaigning for picking up rare diseases early and making sure disease burden is less. SMA2 should be on the picture. How do we make it happen? So to conclude, there is new hope for children affected with SMA. The care of children with SMA, like most rare diseases will need specialist center. We need increased awareness among families, among society at large, among medical fraternity. We've already trained nearly 10 sets of doctors from different parts of the country who come, go back, so that many of you come from very far off places. We hope that this will happen nearer to your house. The perfect drug is never going to be available, but we do need to look for better solutions, and scientists are looking for it. But ultimately, collaboration is key. Collaboration means all of you need to do your part. Your part, our part is we are doing our work, plus we are trying to do what extra we can do. But each of you need to think, what else next extra can you do? So those of you who are getting I'm just taking an example, if you're getting Spinraza and things like that, when we had few patients, it was easy for us to handhold and do all your paperwork, your legal work. With the government, we could do it more. But now as we are getting more and more papers, more and more numbers, we are not able to do it. We don't have enough staff. So if, say, a few parent representatives say, we will take over that responsibility, that makes it less. So if more of you disseminate that, take over that responsibility, then it makes life easier for us. We can reach out to more patients. So thank you to the spirit of Baptist and the spirit of the work we do. I can see Mr. Arnab is here in this picture. This is a spontaneous picture that we had on a day when we were doing activity where we were trying to do a lot of work together. And this is our team at Baptist, ORDI and Baptist. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now may I request Mrs. Vaishnavi to please hand over a memento to Dr. Ann.
I would like to thank Dr. Ann and her team on behalf of all the parents who got gene therapy, which was very special for all the parents because our children's improved very much and we could see them happy right now. I would like, and I would uh, tell her that God bless her with more and more energy to save more kids on this earth.
Thank you so much.